Hello. To those of you who might be new, I am Camson, the Untamed Oracle. For those of you that know me, welcome back. So I have been on a hiatus, taking a bit of a break, focusing on my inner work and self-care. And it's so necessary that we all take the time out to take care of ourselves as best as possible. So as I told y'all before, I committed to a softer life, which means less work, less worry, less trying to make things happen. So that's what it is. That's why I've been missing, in case y'all wondering. But today, I'm gonna do a reading around the fall of Bad Boy. So I'm sure that you have heard about it, but it's a lot of information is coming out right now about some violent things that people went through. And as we know, the industry happens to be one of those industries that I talked about in the 9-year Mayan prophetic calendar that said this was going to happen. I also said that this was going to happen. I said that 2024 is the year of karma. Your karma could be like planting seeds of things that's healing and beneficial, but if it's violent, if it has been abusive, especially to women and to children, that's just not something that is being tolerated. So, this is the return of the Great Mother. And so what I'm going to do today, something that I feel like will be useful, is talk about archetypes. The archetypes of different goddesses and how it applies to our lives. So when you are creating your soul contract, when you come to this planet, there are certain deities, also known as spiritual parents, who are assigned to your soul's journey. They act as guardians and guidance for us. Oftentimes, we don't know that there is a mythology behind who we are and our life experiences. When you know that there's a mythology, when you start to study these archetypes, you find similar journeys through their experiences that align with your own. And so this is something that can be used to really help you level up. Because goddesses, though they have the mythology and the stories and the things that they went through, there's infinite wisdom within that information. So probably about maybe 4 years ago, I did a reading on Kim Porter, and in the reading, Persepone came up. And it made sense because Persepone had to endure the underworld, right? And this is really similar to her life experience. So another example of this would be my own mythology, where I went through a lot of injustice. So Sekhmet being the one who is the Neteru of bringing justice was in alignment with the solution, the solution to me going through that. And I haven't been through that anymore since then. And so there are certain things that you can do, certain things that you could eat, certain things that you could wear, certain colors that you could wear, certain days that you can honor these different archetypes to be able to reprogram your perception around your own mythology, around your own reality, around your own mandala. Mandala is the sacred geometry that we all create through our experiences, through our life experiences. So what I'm going to do, let me scoot up here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull some cards. I didn't want to make this just about that. I want this to be about what's happening collectively and what are we being forced to face subconsciously. What is the energy around this situation and how it's connected to the collective. So we're going to dive into the Akashic records. Now, because Akashic records, they're very much connected to the subconscious, to the unconscious realm, the unseen realm. This is it's a very etheric energy. So it's a very airy energy where you're able to use emotions to connect with what's in the Akashic record. That's the only way it can be done. If your intuition is not trained, then you're not going to be able to get the information. But an easy way is by working with goddesses, specifically dark goddesses, specifically African goddesses, goddesses within the Hindu system, the Kemetic system, goddesses who worked with dark, chaotic energy, which we're clearly in now. Like, there's no arguing. You see it, right? We're here now. So what do? So I'm going to get into that. And the lesson of everything that's occurring in the world, there's always a deeper meaning behind it. And that's what I want to delve into. All right. What message for the collective can be communicated, or lesson that can be learned and discovered, centering around a lot of the things happening in the entertainment industry, specifically hip-hop, which has been very toxic to our culture and has programmed us with a lot of programming that has actually distorted our ability to be in healthy relationships. What can we learn from this? What is being made available to us to discover? Ooh, okay. Just not expecting her. Okay. Y'all want to see? Hold up. Let y'all see. So the very first card that came out is Mumbo Jumbo. And Mama Jumbo represents your ability to shine. And she is based out of Guinea. And she is considered to be a guardian of the lush green forest of Guinea-Bissau. If her name sounds familiar, it is because Mama Jumbo's name was misconstrued by colonizers and replaced with the term mumbo jumbo, meaning gibberish. Still, she shines. And the message is this: you are born to shine. You are born to be seen. You are born to be heard. Be a movement. We need to know your name. We want to learn your dance. This is really interesting because to shine takes courage. To be seen, for your story to be heard, to be a movement, is exactly what happened as a result of all of these underworld things that have been going on. Someone spoke up. Someone said, you know what? My story needs to be heard. My voice matters. And that created a movement. And sometimes we become afraid of standing out We're afraid of our voice being heard, standing on our truth, speaking our truth because of past experiences. This is teaching us now that when you speak up in wisdom with divine timing, you are putting yourself in a position to no longer have to diminish who you are, to no longer have to pretend you don't know what you know, to just shine and be you. And if you've been feeling like you haven't really been able to be your authentic self because of other people in your life, this is definitely speaking to you. It's just time for you to be you. Every person on this planet has their own way of shining, and finding out what that is, that's going to happen when you remove the fear of being seen and the fear of being heard, right? Be a movement just in your day-to-day life. You don't have to do what Cassie did, which was spoke out about the abuse that she had to deal with, and maybe you have dealt with abuse and you haven't spoken up, and it's not always to speak up maybe to the abuser, but to accept the fact that you have been abused allows healing to take place. But as long as you keep it secret, repress it, hold it down, push it down, and ignore all of the feelings that come with it, then you are ultimately dimming your own light. And a soul is an infinite amount of immortality that in which is collapsed, and a portion becomes what gives life in our body. Ain't no light brighter than that, right? The soul is the brightest light. So daring to rise and shine starts with the courage to be seen and heard, and your story matters. And somebody might just need to hear it. So maybe your story is for somebody who needs to hear it and might be inspired by it, or somebody who might not feel as alone to know that they have also went through whatever it is that you have experienced. Set yourself free. Set yourself free, and maybe even set somebody else free from having to feel. Sometimes we are ashamed, and I know for me, I was in a 10-year karmic relationship with somebody who literally wished death on me. I was ashamed that it took me so long to walk away, right? And shame, we did the shame detox. If you've been with us for a while with New Verse, we did the shame detox challenge. And I taught about this endlessly. And this is one of the things that holds us back. So the fear of shining brightly keeps you in the shadows. It keeps you hiding. It keeps you shrinking. There is no way to claim your voice and avoid rejection, criticism, and judgment. But you are not for everybody. If everybody likes you, you are not totally being you. Let me tell you, when people start not to like you as you're shining, that's just confirmation that you're being more of your authentic self. Because people get attached to the false self that we operated in because of trauma. And we create a personality, and I talk about this in human design when I do human design Akashic record readings. And there is this theme around who you think you are that you create to operate by. And, this is what attracts things into our lives that's really not something that we really want to be experiencing anymore, because we know better. But at some point, you have to go from knowing better to doing better. And so the declaration that you can use to activate this is, I am ready to be seen and heard. Breathe that one in. I am ready to be seen and heard. Yeah. Do that one in the mirror a few times. I like that. Now, the very next card that came up, which is really interesting, and I'm going to talk about some of my own interpretations of this, but it's Tanit. I love me some Tanit. So, Tanit is the goddess of pleasure. Her temple is the conjurers, and her element is air. Tanit was the goddess of the stars in ancient Carthage. Today, all the way over to Ibiza, they still have pleasure-filled, full moon, midnight, table dancing parties in her name. Sound a little bit like what the industry been doing too, don't it? You are thirsty for more pleasure. You can't thrive when life feels dry. You are made of laughter and stardust, not sawdust. Pleasure is your birthright, a gift from the universe. This is interesting because, for this to come up right now, because pleasure is something that a lot of us grew to fear getting out of hand. And this is exactly what we are seeing the results of, where pleasure and the quest for pleasure got out of hand and people just became objects to be used. On the flip side of that, there are a lot of us, especially women, who don't really have a relationship with pleasure unless it's attached to a partner. This is how we've been conditioned. Pleasure is not always about someone else. Sometimes pleasure is just about what you desire, what you need. Are you parched? You know, what's gonna soothe you? What's gonna quench your thirst? What are you craving? Sometimes it can be something as simple as craving ice cream. Let's go simple, right? Craving ice cream. And you'll say to yourself, well, no, I'm not going to eat any ice cream because I said that I was going to go on a diet or whatever. Like, that's fine. But at some point, participating in pleasure will actually rejuvenate you to be more committed to your diet. So it's the wisdom to be able to know when I need to go ahead and do that thing maybe that I keep putting off. I think because the patriarchy, with the toxic conditioning where women have been used for pleasure for a long time, that also detached us from our own sense of pleasure. And looking at the situation with hip hop and Epstein Island and all of those things, like this is something where we're being called to bring it out of the shadows, the way Pandora's box, the way pleasure has been abused, right? But for some of us, we need more of it. For a lot of us, for a lot of women who are married and in long-term relationships die earlier than single women. And I believe that a lot of this is attached to when you're in a relationship with a man who has been maybe unconsciously following the societal conditioning of the patriarchy. Pleasure that does not include him is like something where it might feel like a betrayal. So let's just say you get dressed up and you just sexy, you feeling sexy, you just really into it. You're into you, right? You're enjoying yourself. You're smelling good. You might take you a bath with rose petals and milk and honey in it. Like, you're doing special shit for you. And let's just say you're in a relationship and maybe you haven't been really your sensual self in relationship because of some of the stuff that's been happening in your relationship. He might feel like he is being left out. And if he has a wounded inner child that he has not connected with, it's likely that he's going to act out. It's likely that he's going to feel like you have been withholding something from him to punish him. And a lot of that is connected to our childhood. A lot of that is connected to how we felt as children when we got punished. And so this might bring that wound up. So for a lot of women, find things that make you feel good about you and do it. So the embodiment of this card is, how much juicy pleasure can you stand? Can you turn up your pleasure principle? Pleasure principle. Ah, 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 ah. Yeah, that came back to me. Okay, I'm gonna have to listen to that later. See, pleasure. that just thinking about Janet Jackson singing about the pleasure principle took me somewhere else. Maybe Janet was allowing Tanit to come through, right? Everything happening in the industry is not bad, right? Nothing is either or. Everything is neutral until a meaning is assigned to it in the universe. That's just the way it works. So it says, you secretly feel that you don't deserve it, but pleasure is a healing and manifesting force. Laughing, loving, and orgasmic joy is holy. Hold your hands over your reproductive area and say aloud, I deserve pleasure. I deserve pleasure. Breathe that one in. I deserve pleasure. And the declaration is, it feels good to feel good. It feels good to feel good, right? It's okay to feel good. I deserve to feel good, right? There's no shame in that. And for those of us who may have went through different forms of abuse as children, you know, we might feel like we might not feel safe in relationship with pleasure in general. And that can have such a negative impact on your life, how you feel about yourself, the way you carry yourself, what you know you're worth, how you value yourself, the way that you assert your boundaries, whether or not you remove your boundaries if people get upset with you, whether or not you're willing to let people go if it's toxic, no matter who they are. Like, you also have to create a safe space to experience more pleasure. And if you got people around you that's miserable, they not gonna be feeling it. So, you just have to be like, look, this is what I need to do for me, and I'm doing it for me. A lot of us, it would benefit us to take our power back by creating safety around pleasure just for ourselves. That's a pro tip right there. That's something that will help you manifest things that hard work and affirmations was not manifesting. Manifesting needs intention, where you place your attention and the feeling, the emotion that you assign to it. When you assign those three things, that's when you're able to manifest. So manifest consciously using those three things. Now, this was really interesting, but I asked and I pulled 3 cards, and Long Bubby Susie came up, and she represents shame. She represents shame. And I was just talking about shame before I even looked at the card, being connected to a lot of what's happening right now. This is a mirror. This is a mirror. Even though we might not be in exact situations, this still is a mirror to us of what happens when stuff is swept under the rug and we keep things in the shadows. Like, if you are not having archaeological digs, I'm talking about really going deep into your own demons, they will control you. And shame is one of the main ways that we have been controlled, period. Shame about anything and everything to keep us under control. When you detox shame, you become the sovereign version of yourself. It is a process. Again, I might reopen the shame detox. I open these things, but I need people to participate. So if y'all want that and you're going to participate and you're going to actually devote yourself to it, let me know in the comments. And I will add that to the list because I am making a list of new ventures and things that I want to do with the collective to help us level up. So who is Long Bubby Susie? She's the shadow of shame of Garifuna, Belize. Her temple is the shadows and her element is fire. Long Bubby Susie keeps the children of Belize terrified. Viewed as a shadow monster, she has the power to kill or to nurture with her long, scary breasts that contain milk and poison. This beautiful Afro-Indigenous spirit may be a distortion of Arawak, the Tano moon goddess, Atabe. Now, the guidance from this is this. You are beautiful and loved. Every part of you in your journey is beautiful. even the ugliest moments. You have a heart, soul, and breath that makes you beautiful. That one thing alone makes you beautiful. Knowing that you are divinity in a physical body, that makes you beautiful. And I find it interesting that she was used to cause children to be terrified, probably to make them not be doing stuff they shouldn't be doing, you know. And it's interesting because I feel like that's what happened to the collective, right? We were made to feel terrified. A lot of us still have terrified inner children. That's why we're afraid of intimacy. That's why vulnerability and transparency is so hard. That's why allowing ourselves to be seen in our weakest moments is something that we shy away from, right? So the embodiment from this guidance is this: you are secretly scared that you are not enough. Shame is lying to you. You are not broken, unlovable, ugly, or unworthy. Shame keeps you small and hiding. Here we go. This connects to Mumbo Jumbo, the first card. Accept yourself now. You are bright light. Allow yourself to see who you really are. This connects right back to Tanit. Accept yourself now. You are a bright light. Allow yourself to see who you really are. Let yourself see it. Don't wait on nobody else to see it and validate it and point it out to you. Let yourself see it. Seeing yourself is something you have to let yourself do. You have to allow. You have to detach from who you think you are. Going through this spiritual awakening, let me tell you, I have had so many identities come up and be buried. I've had so many false self masks appear, and I knew this is keeping me small. It's time for it to go. You served your purpose. Thank you. I release you. This is why I created the false self funeral. A very powerful invocation to call in this new version of yourself and to lay to rest respectfully the old version of you. A lot of us don't do that, right? And that keeps us small. You can't even see who you really are. You can't see how bright of a star you really are if your mind is constantly ruminating on all of the things and reasons and people who said you was not enough. You are doing the very best that you can, even if you don't feel like it, even if you're like, I'm really not. You're doing the best that you can in this moment. And when you can do better, you will. You are lovable and you are complete. And the declaration is, I am protected. How phenomenal is that? I am protected. So through everything that's happening, right? One thing for sure, a person who has agreed to awaken in this lifetime has a level of protection unheard. I don't even believe in this lifetime we will ever really meet every being that has been a part of our journey and protecting us. Like, this is what this is. And when you start to allow yourself to see yourself for who you really are, to see the parts of you maybe that you don't like to see, and to learn to embrace those parts of you. You can't shine if a large part of you is still in the shadows. And so this is the message that we are learning from all of this, is that what we keep secret will keep us bound. And so this is not about telling the whole world whatever it is. It's just about being able to admit it to yourself, free of judgment. And, you know, there's an exercise that you can do where you can, if you find something about yourself you don't like, look in the mirror and say that thing over and over again until it is no longer presenting a strong emotional charge. So the very first time you say it, like, I'm weak and I keep falling for the wrong people. Let's just say that's an example. And this might be really emotionally charged the first time you say it. The second time you might still feel it. Third, fourth, fifth, sixth. Keep saying it until you start to feel less emotional charge, until you start to feel less triggered by it. I'm weak, and I do not make the best choices for people to be in relationships with. I accept that. This is something that I'm learning in this lifetime, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful for being able to see myself. And when you do this over and over and over again until you lessen the trigger, things that's attached to that, people that's attached to that, the timeline that's attached to that thought form, because every thought form has a timeline that's attached to it, they will no longer have control over you. This is the key to truly taking back your power. It won't control you no more because you already worked through it. You got closure, right? And so even if you're in a relationship with this person that you now feel, because look, with North Node and Aries and South Node and Libra, like we're being called to see where things are in balance and it's getting in the way of who we truly are. Aries, who we are. Right? Our identity, our being. I call it the I divinity, right? We're getting away from the identity, the dented, wounded part of us that was created from people who were also wounded, right? And we're moving into our I divinity. Who am I outside of that? Who am I outside of my trauma? Who am I outside of my conditioning? Who am I outside of my own criticisms about myself? You are a powerful soul who deserves to be seen, heard, and respected. And you start by respecting yourself. Never demand respect from other people if you're not giving it to yourself first. Because as soon as they give it to you, you're going to become codependent on them to reassure you, to be there for you, and that's not what we're doing. This every astrological placement since the Venus retrograde around August, September 2023 has been deconditioning us from codependency. And I'm going to tell you, I have to go soon, but I'm going to tell you, I was running my business in a codependent way because this is that subconscious programming. And so I was running myself in the ground. I never had a client who felt like I didn't give them enough. If anything, clients are like, this is a lot to process. I need time to process this, right? And so I didn't realize that it was my programming where I felt like I wasn't enough. So I needed to give excess to ensure that people are satisfied. And it led to a lot of negative things. And it also led to me feeling like, well, have I attracted anybody as a client who really has the ability to reciprocate appreciation, right? Because I appreciate all of my clients, or they're appreciating me. And so I just started to question these things, and so when you start to pull away from feeling like you have to give in excess, right? You actually start to reclaim those lost parts of you that feel like you're not good enough unless you're doing it, unless you're over giving. So this is another reason why I'm not creating as much content. I release content pretty often, but not every week, every 2 weeks going live the way I used to. I was not fully taking care of myself. I wasn't. I was taking better care of my clients than I was myself. And that's the programming that I received from the dysfunction within the family I grew up in. That you take care of others before yourself. Don't even get me started with religion. You take care of others before yourself. You make other people's dreams come true before yours. People ask for your shirt, give them your jacket too. It was all about service to others, service to others. Be a martyr, be a martyr, be a martyr, be a sacrificial lamb, right? Sacrifice it all, lay it all out, and those teachings are traumatic. Those teachings will cause you to lose yourself trying to be in service to another. And this is what has happened to many of us. And there's something called soul loss. And unfortunately, I think a lot of this has occurred. Again, what we see happening in the limelight has been happening in the shadows with the collective as well, with the masses. And what's occurring right now is a reflection of the soul loss. Do y'all know that your soul has been fragmented? It's like shattered pieces of glass. And with each incarnation, you reclaim the parts of you that were cast aside. You begin to pull them back when you go through life and learn lessons. And because we are not in ceremony the way we used to, because we are not within our communities, our tribes, our villages, and we don't have elders who are holding us accountable that we trust, we're not connected to a lot of the indigenous, right? The ancient indigenous intelligence. We're learning those things now all over again, but we've been far removed and disconnected from that. And so because of that, we have to go through initiations through life, through our relationships now. The universe will always find a way to restore balance. Oh, well, people getting colonized and people not going to be practicing, these practices that allow them to initiate themselves into different parts of what you're supposed to experience as a divine being. Okay, well, it's going to happen in their relationships. It's going to happen according to the family that they're born into. It's going to happen according to, from their parents to their partners to their patterns. This is how initiations will occur. And a lot of times we wonder, why do bad things happen to good people? Because I'm sure when you are someone who has been abused, you definitely are going to face having thoughts of, what did I do to deserve this? Why is this happening to me? I went through this for a long time. This led to me being suicidal. I couldn't wrap my mind around. I felt like I was a kind person, but I wasn't getting that same energy from many people, right? And I couldn't figure out why. For a long time, I felt like a victim. So of course, Christianity resonated with me, because I was like, Jesus went through this too. Like, look, so this must mean it's something special about me. And it is, and it was. It's something special about all of us. But had I known my human design type, being a manifesting generator, 3/5 heretic martyr, had I known that frustration and anger is the theme that occurs when I'm not being myself, but it's also the catalyst for my transformation and evolution to occur. Had I known those things, I would have been further along, because having the mechanics of what makes you allows your soul to navigate this life where it can reclaim those parts. Whether you study, it's many different spiritual studies, but even like in Greek, right? In Greek, a lot of Greek mythology, it talks about the 7 different parts of the soul, really similar to the 7 different chakras, the 7 trumpets, the 7 bowls poured out in the book of Revelation. Like we see the 7 over and over and over again, right? So we're reclaiming those parts of us. We're gathering those remnants, right? So that we can create a new universe to live in, where you are whole, where you're comfortable shining, comfortable being seen. So yes, this is the lesson from this. It's a lot of beauty in pain. And sometimes we have to teach ourselves to find pleasure in the challenges. Because if pleasure is something that you are attached to only experiencing when things are going your way, you're likely not going to experience much pleasure. But if you could just change what pleasure means to you, then you could change a lot in your life with less energy and effort and without having to people please, right? So let's say you're in a relationship, you know, it's like feeling abusive. Maybe you got some toxic patterns. I mean, every relationship got some type of issue, right? And you're noticing that. Okay, well, this is not pleasurable, right? When I went through the power struggle phase with my twin flame, it was one of the most painful things I ever experienced in my life. And I didn't even think I could experience any more pain than I already been through. Like, I was calling people like, look, can I come over your house and stay for a couple of weeks? Because I was like, I need a break. I need to get away so that I could figure out what's happening, what's going on. Why am I feeling so sad, so depressed, so repressed, so constricted, so controlled? What is really happening energetically? What is it that I'm trying to learn about myself? I made it about me, not my partner. I made it about me so that I could discover me, right? And when I did that, I started to take pleasure out of journaling. You know, there's something called morning pages. And I had something really similar that I created before I even found out about it. But you just dump it all out. Just write. Don't think. Just write. Get it all out. And the more I did that, the more I was able to see that this journey has always been about me learning me. It's never been about the people. They just acted as a catalyst for my transformation. And this is why I don't have any resentment to anybody who ever hurt me. Absolutely zero. I love them no less. Right? And this is true power. All right? So, you don't have to be the victim. You could be in the middle of being victimized, but you don't have to be the victim. Okay. I know that the Akashic records are being updated. How interesting. As we're awakening and learning more and changing the way that we make decisions and things that we do. What message do the dark goddesses have centered around this conversation today? Allow the subconscious, the shadows, to speak. No. No. Look, wait. First of all, literally, y'all saw how many times I shuffled these cards. Now, I got that black girl magic, but I can't make no card come out. So I'm going to show y'all this so that you see and you understand the power of being an oracle, being able to communicate with the divine. It is something that anybody can practice. Everybody is not an oracle, but you can learn how to be so open to the divine that things like this happen every day. It's possible. It is possible. Look at this. Who is this? This is Persepone. Persepone. You see this. I want to make sure that y'all see this. All right? Persepone. Now, I told y'all, I'm going to tell y'all a quick story. I miss talking to y'all. I hope y'all feel the same way. Y'all be acting like y'all don't be loving my audio. Like my audio I be packing so many gems in there. Like, for those of you who get it, though, you get it. And I appreciate you for getting it. For those of you who don't, it's okay. Keep watching. Something will jump out at you, I'm sure. But let me say this before I get into this card. I ain't never made no faces like that in my life. I I know I was probably looking real crazy, but it is what it ain't no shame. It is what it is. Oh, hold on. I'm gonna tell y'all a quick story. I was not gonna tell this story, but it's so relevant. So I was riding down the street in October, late October, early November. I heard Kim Porter say to me, "It is finally time." I cut my radio all the way up because I kept saying to myself, it had to have been somebody on the radio who said that, and I just mixed it up. Having clairaudience, like maybe I just mixed it up. Maybe I didn't hear that through clairaudience. Maybe it was on the radio. Cut it up. It's a song playing on the radio. So nobody was talking. So I cut it all the way down. I said, I'm listening. She said, I appreciate you for not using my story for some type of clout or fame or views. That shows integrity. And I was just like, I appreciate you for noticing that. And she said to me, I really miss my children, but I'm always with them. I'm always watching over them. And I laughed because I said, honey, when I leave here, I'm going to be on my kids like white on rice. And she laughed and she was like, exactly. And she said, it's about to happen. And I'm so grateful. It wasn't in vain. My death wasn't in vain. And I was in tears at this point. I'm riding down the street having a conversation with Kim. And I said, Kim, why now? Why now? And she was like, just watch. It's time. And that was it. And I got home. I told Ernest, I said, I had something that don't usually happen. Because, I had Chadwick Boseman come to me. I had Kobe come to me. I had Prince come to me. I've had a conversation with Aaliyah. I had a conversation with Michael Jackson. They come to me like whenever they want to. It's not me trying to get them to come to me, right? And I've posted videos about all of these people. And so I told him about it. And as I was telling him, I got teary-eyed again. And I was just like, this is really like moving me because, for a long time, I didn't have the courage to speak up and be heard about the abuse that I had experienced. So this is something that's deeply, connected to my heart. And I kid you not. I kid you. And it's so much more that I can say, but I'm not going to say it here. Those conversations are on Patreon. Because it was something that happened on Easter 2 years ago that actually initiated what's occurring now. I'll just say that. And she confirmed that to me. And it had something to do with a black woman being a sacrificial lamb hanging on a cross. So I knew that I was speaking to her spirit. I knew that her soul was sending me messages. And just as she said, everything happened exactly the way she said that it would. So now we're going to get into this card. Persephone represents compliance. Boo-hoo, it's not fair. It's their fault. They just don't care. Comply. Ditch this phenomenon. Whining victim, now be gone. By the power of the dark goddess in me, protection is in place. Blessed be. Have you ever wondered why all the bad things happen to you and why you always seem to be the victim in most circumstances? Although your sad stories fuel the attention you wish to receive, you are in fact denying yourself a happy and fulfilled life. Persephone acknowledges that you are stuck in rather a difficult rut and offers help to help you dig yourself out of this self-initiated purgatory. Is this not what I was just talking about? As a naturally helpful person, you have always willingly offered your help. Sadly, through the exploits of others, your kind compliance has reversed, and you have now become a victim of your own acquiescence. Having suffered emotional upheaval and inner trauma has led to self-pity, which Persephone understands completely, even if others do not. However, she warns that sob stories not only invite negativity, they can also be a bore to endure. They serve to reaffirm all of the distress you wish to dissolve, thus creating more of the same. It's time to change your story. Wow. Wow. I don't know who that was for, but I want you to take that to heart. Take that one to heart. If it was for you, you know that it was for you. Exploitation. It's a self-initiated. Through life, we will be initiated. Purgatory, a place you get stuck in. And you manifest it over and over again. And this was me. I just shared stories about that. I'm talking about y'all. I can't count how many times I was homeless. I can't count how many times I was on my deathbed. I can't count how many times I did as much as I could for people. But when I needed people, they were rarely there for me. Just over and over again, I couldn't figure out what it was. So I have had a lot of Persephone archetypal lessons in my own life. Maybe that's why Kim so effortlessly was able to speak to me, because I understand where she's coming from. Now, this is the dark goddess foresight. Time to change the woe is me attitude. You are a victim of any situation. Be positive and look for the best in everything. Your attachment to the past is ruling you emotionally. Maybe you can join or attend a victim support group. Someone close to you might need your help. This is the second time that came up. Complying with rules is key. Maybe it's your own rules that you've been needing to comply with and not others. Persephone is the archetypal victim of Greek origin. She was carried off to the underworld by Hades without struggle. Persephone appears willingly to fulfill her function without question, and unlike most goddesses, she is of a very subservient nature. I don't know about y'all, but this is how I transform myself into who I am today. The power of working with divine mothers, archetypal goddesses, to assist you with shadow work. I've said this once and I'll say this again. If you are not doing it this way, I can't see any other way to have success in a shorter period of time with less effort. I truly cannot. Reparenting yourself as a spiritual person who is desiring to navigate life in a way that reclaims the parts of their soul that they have lost and are desiring to retrieve. In order to do that, why wouldn't you call forth divine mothers and the wisdom through their own experiences to be a guide and a guardian for you as you're doing that work? Wow. I'm telling you, I've often been at least 10 years ahead of the wave. If you are serious about doing this work, this is the wave. So many things happened during this reading, and I haven't done this in a long time. But it just goes to show that I'm only a vessel to communicate the wisdom of the goddesses. I am a devotee, I am a Dakini, and I practice every single day without excuse. And this is because I'm truly serious about reconditioning myself, deconditioning myself, and stopping these patterns from being passed down to my children and my grandchildren. I'm so serious about that. And I know some other things that I'm not going to talk about here, but I'm gonna say this, and I'm going to leave this here. It's so beautiful that early today, because lately I wake up at 5, sometimes 4, and I'm just getting downloads. And I was getting downloads about how to protect your peace, right? We're talking about archetypes and guardians of the threshold. Any goddess energy is representative of the darkness, the subconscious. Those are all feminine attributes. These are feminine kingdoms, realms in which they navigate and help other people as well that call on their help. But I have a song that I did, and it was the first time that I wrote a song like that. And then I really didn't write the song. I kind of just freestyled the song. It wrote itself. And when I listened to it back, this was the first time I had a strong emotional reaction. Like I cried, because for the first time, I felt like I allowed my soul to be fully fucking heard. I didn't comply. I didn't acquiesce. I didn't hold nothing back. And that song is called Mending My Soul. And I feel like this is summing up what we have discussed, what motivated me to do this reading. We are mending our souls. We are reclaiming those parts of us. And for healing to truly happen, there must be destruction. So that song has been exclusively early released on Patreon on all tiers. You can go check that out, tap into that, turn it up, put your headphones on, like it's a whole vibe. But when someone allows their soul to fully speak up, be heard, not dim, not diminish, not shrink, feel shame, that is a power source that you can plug into. So go check that out and stay tuned, whether I do the shame detox or I'm going to put a course together. I'm probably going to do that, where I will be literally with you every day. Every day you will hear from me. Every day I will give you guidance. Every night I will lead you into sleep, where the subconscious mind does a lot of healing. And so many of y'all dream about me coming to you. So many. Most of clients that book readings dreamed about me coming to them. Can't make this up, right? This is the way spirit moves. So if that resonates, you can book a reading with me. And for those of you who want to tap into the course, comment below and let me know that you're interested. And I will be sure to send out the email to you all so that you get that and you can go ahead and be the first ones to get this course, because it's going to be powerful. This was just the tip of the iceberg of why I have been working so diligently on the soft life for myself, so that I can be more of who I'm supposed to be when I'm in front of you, so that I am a reflection of the greatness inside of you. Namaste, Namaste, peace, one love, Ashe.